Hello and welcome. Today is Thursday, May 26th, and welcome to the Get Real with Jill show. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining. I really appreciate it. And as you know, I start off with Let's Get Real and Let's Get Real. After a 10-day journey to Israel, and it has been kind of crazy. I am absolutely exhausted. And so, just so you know, that after 10 days of flying across the world, um, daily experiences, coming home, getting back into the swing of things, getting back into work, it hit me. It actually hit me yesterday afternoon. So let's get real. I'm just going to be me. I am in my, well, I would have said workout clothes to run, but no, I'm exhausted. So I'm hoping I went for a walk this morning. I'm hoping to go for another one. So yeah, I'm just going to be me and I'm not all made up. I'm just in my workout clothes. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining. And just as you know, the Get Real with Jill show is every Thursday, Facebook Live at 1 o'clock. And you can actually follow me on Instagram, here on Facebook, and all of my shows that have been recorded. They're all on YouTube, and we've actually been doing Get Real for over 2 years now. And this is actually a program to bring to you kind of some entertainment, but also things about what's going on in the real estate and mortgage industry, because I really am a realtor, not just an actress or a traveler, and just educational things about the housing market, about what you can do to prepare for your retirement and trust, or if you're going to buy or sell, how do you prepare for that? So many different topics, including really highlighting some of our restaurants and places in our local community. So if you have anybody that you would like to see on the show, or a specific restaurant that you would like me to highlight and interview, please let me know, because this really is a platform for you. So let's go ahead and get started. And this is part one of two of the Israel trip. So my son and I actually last year decided to go and join the Bayside Church, and there's all different campuses. We belong to Bayside Granite Bay, and joined them on their Israel tour. And I will say, I had no idea that this is going to be one of the most amazing trips of my lifetime and the best experience that I can have with my son Kyle. So very blessed. I'm so glad we did it. There was a lot of preparation in advance, and I'm excited to share with you some of the highlights. But let's just go back to the whole suitcase scenario. I know so many of you, we were cracking up about whether I'm going to just take a carry-on bag or do a check-in, because I am check-in queen, because I have to have my shoes, my dresses, my skirts, my pants, my shorts, everything. And I did prepare way in advance and just really thought about it, and I did really just take the carry-on. So if you look below on the Facebook videos, you'll see that I really did just take a carry-on. And you know what? It was perfect. I can't believe I did it. I don't know if I take another trip like that, I will do it again. But if I'm going on a fun girls trip, no, I'm definitely taking on a check-in bag. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm really just going to kind of focus on just showing you some of the fun pictures and highlights. But this is just part one, because part two is so much fun too, because it's going to be about swimming in the Dead Sea, which is the lowest point in our world, and it's all sea salt. And then we're going to be talking about, I have so many different notes too. We'll be at the Mount Olive, Shepherd's Fields, Garden of Gethsemane, the Jewish quarters, and I'm gonna there's a cute little family that I actually taped on there too, and of course the Wailing Wall. And then one of my favorites is the cave number 4, which is where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. So it's so interesting. So that's part 2, but let's just go ahead and start with part 1, and we're going to go straight to, I'm going to share my desktop, and if you guys have any questions, let me know. Michelle will go ahead and let me know. And why can't I share? Oh, share screen. And just so you know too, this was the first time in 16 years of working in real estate that I actually shut it off. And I just want to say thank you to Michelle and to Amy for running the show while I was gone. because to be in real estate and take a vacation is very, very challenging and always has. And I did it. And I appreciate the two of you to making that happen. So thank you very much. And because I was really able to enjoy what this experience was supposed to be. All right, you guys, so let's go ahead and we're just going to start with some pictures, and I'll go fast because the last thing you want to do is really see all the family photos. But I'm going to do a specific highlight of where we were, kind of talk a little bit about that, and then we'll move on. But obviously, this is on our way to Tel Aviv from San Francisco, and we were really lucky to be traveling with Jane and Danae and their sisters. Jane belongs to Bayside and Adventure. Her sister lives up in Seattle. They were a kick. They made our trip, and another person too, Christina and Michael and Patty Rodriguez. I mean, just some great people. But we had just met Jane and Danae actually on our way to San Francisco. Great and super fun people. There we are on the plane. And then I just wanted to show you when we were on the United flight as we were landing. Take a look at that path. That is nuts, from San Francisco all the way to Tel Aviv. And that flight actually was like over 13 hours, close to 14 hours. Yeah, and it was nonstop. Okay, so here we are actually in Chorazin, Chorazin. And this was, the days are all mixed up just based on my photos because of the way they're number sequenced. So it kind of all got messed up. So we spent 6 days of touring, and we would leave our hotel room by 6:30 a.m. Yes, showered, shampooed, and shined by 6:30 a.m. And then we did not get back until about 7 p.m. and got ready for dinner. So Chorazin, it's a biblical place, and it's from the Old Testament back in the Moses day. And it was often visited by Jesus together with Capernaum, which is where Jesus lived, and Bethsaida. So I'm sorry if I'm messing up the names. And then Jesus condemned this area for its unbeliefs, despite most of his miracles actually happened in this area. And you can see just based on the architecture, these are thousands of years old. And we were very blessed to see these types of buildings and to be surrounded by this type of architecture that was discovered and built thousands of years ago. So of course that's Kyle and I, and actually this was our very, very first day. Yeah, I look pretty refreshed there. And there's Jane and Danae. And then what was really cool, I don't know if you guys have seen this is called The Whisper. So our tour guide, he can be somewhere else, not far though, because we're trying to keep up with him. And he is doing the entire tour through his microphone, and we all have a listening device, and you can hear him so clearly. I really liked that. I'm sure it's been around forever, but that was the first I've seen of it. So Chorazin is also part of the Capernaum National Park. All right, so then later that first day, that was our first stop. Then we went to Dan, and that is one of the largest sources of water through the Jordan River. I think it's there's like 4 sources of Jordan River water. So remember, these places that actually have flowing water, these are really the hot spots of where people wanted to migrate to. And then when people were passing through Israel, going to, let's say, Egypt or up towards Lebanon or Syria, they would want to go into the lands where there's water. So having water was, something that people wanted to protect. This place was absolutely gorgeous. Look at the water, how beautiful it is and how it flows. This is a national park, and thousands of tourists go through it every day. So there's Jane and Danae, and there are Kyle and I. All right, so this is the oldest place that we actually visited. This is about 4,000 years old, and it was recently uncovered. So it hasn't actually been seen over the 4,000 years. It was uncovered in 1979. So what's important too about Israel and the history is there is so much history that is still there that is not uncovered, and that's just due to thousands of years of things being built and then cities being built on top of cities. it's it's actually amazing. And really, for so many people who are non-believers, go to Israel, because I know there's so many people that are just specific and scientific. Well, this, so much of it is science and a lot of archaeology. And the proof is right there in Israel. And it is amazing. And the stories and the history. And to be walking the same footsteps as Jesus is really mind boggling and very surreal, and thinking, oh my gosh, we are actually here where Jesus was thousands of years, 2,000 years ago. But this is the gates of Abraham, and this was 4,000 years ago, and it was uncovered in 1979 at Tel Dan. So it's right there where the water is. And it was built around 1750 BC. And so it dates back to the period of Abraham. So they're saying that these are like the gates of Abraham. So pretty impressive to be at a site that is 4,000 years old. And then the reason why it's covered here is just to protect it. And you can see the arch right here where the gates were, the entry. Obviously, a lot of erosion has happened. Okay, so along our route, this was really interesting because we were so close. We started up north, and I'll just kind of show you here. We were up at the top of Israel over by Syria and Lebanon. We were actually 2 miles away from the Lebanon border, and we can see Lebanon in some of the areas that we stopped in. And then we went all the way down. This was a 6-day journey to past where Beersheba is. So we really did hit the majority of Israel at different times. And you can tell in my voice, I'm exhausted still. So what's really neat about this is Syria, this is where a lot of the people from Syria still live. And Israel owns the land. So the people of Syria stayed in this area, but they can't vote or anything, but they stayed. But Israel owns the land. So I thought that was very interesting, and we were very close to it right there. So most of Syria, a lot of Syria people that didn't want to leave, they stayed there. Very interesting. And to be so close to the border too. And you know, this is the same way. I think that Magdala was the same day. It was, I'm pretty sure. So, okay, so now we went to Magdala, and I wish we had had more time to shop, but we didn't. Andre, our tour guide, he was very much on a mission, which I understand because our days were so long and there was so much to put in it. But Magdala isn't, okay, this is really cool because this is newer as well. So Magdala is an ancient Jewish city of the shore of the Sea of Galilee, believed to be the birthplace of Mary Magdalene and a place of a crossroads of Jewish and Christian history. This is where Jesus taught. So where I'm going to show you is actually where Jesus was teaching. Then Father Juan Mara Solana, and he's actually from Mexico, had a vision to build a retreat center in Galilee. And there's a huge history on it. We're going to put on Facebook where you can look and see what's going on there, because this is so new. A new meaning about Magdala and the retreat that this father wanted to put on the land there. And so construction began in 2009. So there they are. They see a piece of land where Mary Magdalene was born. And then as they began to dig the foundation, they discovered a first century synagogue. So imagine, like, think about, okay, you live in Rockland, you're driving down these streets, or you see this hillside, and you think nothing of it. But then when you go and build on it, I mean, we live in such a young country, but there is a synagogue, a first century synagogue where Jesus taught, and they found the Magdala stone, and archaeologists continued to dig, and they discovered an entire first century Jewish town lying just below the surface. Now, you guys know that when Jesus was born Jewish, and then he's our Messiah. So the Jewish people don't believe that he is the Messiah. So a lot of people don't understand what the difference is, because we all believe in the same Old Testament. It's the New Testament that's part of the difference between the Christians and the Jews. Okay. So this is all part of Magdala. And look at the mosaic tiles. I mean, imagine this is a couple of thousand years old. This is what was uncovered. I mean, think about it. This is where Jesus was, and look at the mosaic tile that was being created then. And this is where he taught. And obviously, they have it covered now. But they were building this beautiful building hotel retreat, and they obviously saved this spot because they're not going to take their history down. All right, so let's go now. We're going to go to Caesarea. All right, so look at that auditorium. So there was like one of 8 fortresses built by I want to say King Herod. I always get his name mixed up. And this is right at the Mediterranean Sea. So what's really cool about this place is they actually do concerts here. So this is right at the Mediterranean Sea is beautiful. So now we're over in this area at the Mediterranean Sea, and this city became the capital of the Roman province of Judea in the 6th century. Subsequently, it was an important center of early Christianity. So in the New Testament, it is mentioned in Acts in connection with Peter, Philip, and Apostle, and especially Paul, who was imprisoned there before he was sent to Rome for trial. So Paul was here and he was imprisoned in this area. All right, so let's take a look at the pictures. And that's Pastor Brian. And kudos to Folsom Bayside campus. Great people. We had so much fun, and I miss Christina and Debbie, and just great friends that Kyle and I really connected with. Folsom, and we're going to go visit the campus at Folsom and see Pastor Brian. He is just an amazing man, and just was great to get to know him. So there's where we are at the Mediterranean Sea. Absolutely beautiful. So for those of you who have ever been here, a lot of people have been on cruises in this area. Let me know. Would love to hear. If you're thinking about a Mediterranean cruise, I highly recommend it. And I believe Bayside is going to be doing something in 2023. Look at this. And look at the architect. You guys, this is all old. This is thousands of years old from where the Romans were. This is not new. And we walked through all of this. Okay, so this wall, even at one point, the sea actually went up to this and past it. But throughout the years and years and years, it stopped. But there's like city over city that was built when people would take over this area, and then when things would happen, or they would break them down, or I think I don't know if there was an earthquake in this one or another one, but you can see all here. Do you kind of see like the pottery color in here? Well, you can see like 3 different types of levels here. So this is one part where the sea went to, and there was buildings there. Then there was buildings here. Now this is, I don't know if it's actual buildings, but I'm sorry, I'm not using the right word. But eventually, when things came down, whether it was crushed by whoever, I don't know, but all of this is pottery. So there's dishes in here, there's cups in here. And so what Kyle's doing right now is and you can take it, it's no big deal, is you can dig through and actually find pottery from when they were here thousands of years ago. That's pretty crazy. Or a couple thousand years ago. And that's Kyle. He's actually has from a pottery cup. He has a handle. But you can see all the pottery, and so it all came crashing down, and the water kind of pushed it up against the wall when the water was hitting the wall at some point. All right, so now we're at another day, and this is the David River, and this is where the caves where David hid from King Saul. So I don't know if you remember this story, but King Saul is running around looking for David, and David is in a place where like there's water and stuff, and he's hiding, and Saul comes into one of the caves without he actually, they say, because he had to go to the bathroom, and David just actually happened to be in that cave so close to Saul that he cut a piece of Saul's robe. He actually could have killed him at that point, and he didn't. And the whole purpose, Saul was very jealous of David. But so he had no idea that David actually cut a piece of his robe because they were in this dark cave. So that's where the caves are, behind that area there too. And I'm sorry, I'm not a historian, I'm just a tourist who just got back from Israel, so I'm hoping I'm not messing everything up. And then of course there's Kyle and I. I will say this too. This was the journal given to us. This whole book is every place we visited. And I even took my own journal and I wrote in it the first day, and that was it, because we are nonstop. I had no time to do any journaling. Okay, then this is this is a very big deal, and you guys should look at this too, on the internet as well. So this is part of the David River. So this is where a lot of the water, this beautiful waterfall fell. And you can get out and you can even go in it. And our weather is very much the same as Israel. So when we went there, we were also in 80-degree weather. And I think even one day it hit 100 degrees. So a lot of people were soaking underneath that waterfall. Again, and there's the caves. And these are not the caves where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. This is where the caves where David hid, King David. Okay, so now I'm going back to the Sea of Galilee. And this was, I believe this was day one. And this boat was found, it was 2,000 years old, and they believed, and it was discovered in Israel on the banks of the Sea of Galilee in 1986. So imagine, that wasn't that long ago. And to preserve this, so it was found. And then there's this huge story, and we watched a movie about how they actually got it out of the Sea of Galilee. And it's really cool because we can take pictures of it. But to be right there where there's a boat that's 2,000 years old, a fishing boat right in front of us, that was discovered in 1986. It says the vessel, a 2,000-year-old boat, was discovered in Israel on the banks of the Sea of Galilee. The vessel is representative of the large fishing boats common on the ancient lake and the type of boat used in the Gospels by the disciples of Jesus. So I want to share a story with you. So we went to the from here, we took a boat out into the Sea of Galilee. Now, when you think of like the Dead Sea or the Sea of Galilee, they are not seas. And not everybody knows this, and that's okay. They are actually lakes. They just didn't have a word for lakes. So they were called seas. So we went to, here's a picture of the boat again, the Sea of Galilee. And it's huge. And it was so peaceful and just absolutely beautiful that day. Okay, so I do want to say, and I'm going to show a video next week, see how calm the Sea of Galilee is here. So just imagine Peter's out there, the disciples, they're fishing, and we actually did a net fishing from the boat that we were on, just to experience what they were experiencing. Now that night, okay, think about this, and I'll show you a video next week. That evening, we are in our hotel, and our room could see the Sea of Galilee. And it's it's where boats are all, boats and restaurants and stuff are on the boardwalk there. Well, that night was a huge, huge storm where the Sea of Galilee, the water was coming up over the boardwalk, and it actually sank a boat right outside our hotel room. And the bells, the bell was going off, the city bell or whatever, the whistle, because it was like an emergency, and people were running down there to see it. And we're talking like 3 o'clock in the morning. And here's what was really cool. So imagine this is what the disciples were experiencing when they were getting scared. They were out fishing, trying to fish. There was a big storm, And and then that's when Jesus walked on the water. So imagine that, and of the storm. So here's the kicker. It's a lake, you guys. Imagine Folsom Lake having a huge storm where it's going over the boardwalk and sinking boats. That just does not happen. So there's even a clip in it from Israel about this does not happen. So for us to experience the Sea of Galilee like this, and then at night to have a huge storm, just like the disciples experienced, is amazing, and for us to have been there. So people from our tour group, they ran down there at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, to also feel the experience that the disciples were feeling. So I'm going to be playing that video next week. So the Sea of Galilee. Okay, so now we are in the Beatitudes. So, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So there's sayings attributed to Jesus, and in particular, 8 blessings recounted by Jesus in the Sermon of the Mount. So this is where he was in the Sermon of the Mount, and it talks about really about who we should be, who God wants us to be as human beings, and to love on others, to have grace on others. And so this site was pretty cool to be at. And here there were just a couple of things. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the land. And you might even recall, oh gosh, what was her name? And she gave up everything. She was super poor and gave up everything that she had, and where the richer people did not. But she's the one who's giving the most, and I'll have to remember who that was, that story. But anyway, okay. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. So for you guys who are just joining, this is part 1 of the Israel trip, and I'm exhausted, and so I'm just being me. So get real, I'm just being me right now. And I'm in my workout clothes, hoping to go for another walk this morning, today. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. So the Beatitudes is a really cool place to go. The grounds were absolutely gorgeous, and I think that's Kyle in the background. Then we went over to Capernaum, the town of Jesus. So this is where Jesus lived. And this was a fishing village established during the time of the Hasmoneans, located on the northern shore of the Sea of Galilee. It had a population of about 1,500, and then archaeological excavations have revealed 2 ancient synagogues built one over the other. And that was very common. So as people took over, they would build over what was already there and established. So that's why sometimes you're seeing different, how the walls are done differently, or patterns are done differently, or material is done differently. It's because somebody took it over, wiped out that town, and started to build their own. So let's see. So Jesus cured Peter's mother-in-law here, and this is in Matthew. So this is in the New Testament, and is thought to have lived in the house while in Capernaum. So we're going to show you the house that's where they're thinking that Jesus had lived. And this is where he cured a paralytic who was lowered in through the roof. After Jesus' death, the home became a place of worship. So, oh, and before going in, I definitely had to cover up. So I had shorts on, and you can see my shoulders. So thanks to my girlfriend Elizabeth, I borrowed her shawl. Yes, this was in my carry-on as well, and I borrowed the wraparound skirt. So you do need to cover up in some of the places that we actually did visit. So this is where they believe that Jesus lived, and this was actually a really big house. We don't think of this as a house. I would think of this more as a basement, or a foundation. But no, this was actually a house. And from our view, there's actually multiple rooms. It was very big. And there's Kyle and I. It was really cool to be where they're saying that Jesus lived. Okay, all right. So then this was day 2. So we're only on day 2, people. That's why I'm exhausted. This was the baptism on the Jordan River, which was one of the things that Kyle and I were really, really excited about. And this is where they think that John the Baptist baptized Jesus. So here's where we are, and it's the Jordan River, and it's cold for just a slight second, and then that's it. But and our pastors, this is Kyle getting baptized right here by Pastor Brian from Folsom, which was great because him and Kyle just totally connected. So to have him baptize Kyle really was very special. And then Pastor Michael Metcalf from Adventure. Him and his wife were so nice. And he did a couple devotionals as well. So when we were all visiting spots, our pastors really gave some really amazing messages based on where we were. Here's an example. This was towards the last day or second to the last day, which we'll get to, but what is this cup? This is actually when we took communion one day, and Pastor Kurt did that devotional. But this is Pastor Michael, and he's from Adventure Church. Him and his wife were just so amazing, and just really neat people to be around and get to know. So I was blessed to have him baptize me. All right, this place, Bethshean, and this is where King Saul was slain. When you walk up, this is like a city, and the architecture is so old. I mean, thousands of years old, and it's what's really neat is I love it. All the history that's there, that they save it. They don't break it. They don't remove history, because we shouldn't remove history. So this is all part of it. And it went on and on and on. And then look at this. This was like their stadium. I'm sure they did many, many things here. I don't know what they are, but I probably do, and I just don't remember. Then you can walk along here, and you can actually go up this mountain, and that's what I did. I went up to the mountaintop here. But look at the architecture here, and obviously it's come down just throughout the years, but a lot is still standing up. But this is where they lived. Now this is me at the top, and look at how you can see all of this at the bottom there. I mean, there's so much to talk about on this one. All right, so there you go. So this is part 1 of 2 of Israel. There's just so much, and I know, I'm hoping you guys aren't too bored, but I just wanted to share the experience with you. And here, let's escape from here. We will go back, stop to share, and here we are. So thanks you guys so much. And next week we're going to be at the Dead Sea, and one of my friends, Christina, well, there was a whole group of us, but it's really kind of fun because you put all the mud on you and your skin is so soft. It's the lowest point on earth. So we were actually at the lowest point on earth. We're going to go to the caves where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. We're going to Mount Olives. We're going to the Shepherd's Fields. We're going to the Garden of Gethsemane. We're going to be at the Jewish quarters. We're going to be at the Wailing Wall, and that was really something. That whole area, and because it has the Jewish quarters, you have the Muslims there, and that whole thing is super interesting because they're super close together, and you have to go through security, but the Jewish, when they go up to the Muslim quarters of it, they have to have security. And the reason is they just want to make sure that, because the Jewish people want to take over, build a whole new temple and take that back. And if they're praying on the Muslim land to do that, that cannot happen. I remember Kyle and I were taking a picture. We had our arms around each other as mother and son, and that was a big no-no. And we didn't know that. So I'm going to share pictures there of that. And then this could be a part 10 series, but we're just going to do part 2. There was so much packed in a day. It was a great tour by Maranatha Tours, a great Bayside trip. So please join in next week. If you have any questions, let me know. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you listening. I hope you weren't too bored. I wish I could really expand on the history because there's so much more than really what I even spoke about. It's just kind of really trying to remember everything. And you guys, thank you so much. And remember, you can follow me on Instagram, here on Facebook, YouTube channel. And if you, and I have a new listing. Remember, I'm a realtor. I may not look like that today because I look exhausted, but I have a new listing in Lincoln on Equinox and just came up last week at $458,800, so a great price point. If you know of anybody looking to buy or sell, I would be honored for the referral. And if you want to see anybody on this show, please let me know. We have a great summer series coming up as well. And I'm so excited to share with you part 2. We are just now starting our summer series. I will see you next Thursday. Have a wonderful day and a great Memorial Weekend. And remember, Memorial Weekend is to really pray and think about the soldiers who have died for us. That's what Memorial Weekend's about. We often look at it as a holiday, and yes, but it's a holiday to celebrate them and what they have done for us to keep our freedom. And coming from Israel, we definitely have a lot more freedom. And so this is, remember what Monday is. It's Memorial Day. But everybody, please be safe, and thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.